The Luminato Arts and Culture Festival has been around for 13 years. It happens every June, but for some reason, it's never really achieved the kind of prominence in Ontario's capital city region that its founders envisioned. Which may be why, when you ask its new CEO what she wants to achieve on the job, her answer is, "I want to inspire the city." A big goal made even harder during these times of pandemic. Let's find out how she intends to do it. Here's Celia Smith, the new CEO of Luminato Festival Toronto, and she comes to us from the east end of the provincial capital. So nice to have you on our airwaves for the first time. How are you managing?
Well, this is a great time to be running a live performing arts festival, I tell you. It's fantastic.
Now, are you being facetious? Because that sure sounds like something facetious.
Well, honestly, it's crazy. It's a crazy time to do this, but I think everything is possible. I do. I don't think there are any rules anymore. I think that's out the window.
Well, let's start with this, because as we pointed out in the intro, not as many people may know of Luminato, certainly as you would like. So why don't we start there? What is Luminato?
So Luminato is an annual performing arts festival. It's happened for 14 years in the city of Toronto, all over the city. And it features Toronto's artists, the region's artists, and usually artists from around the world. And it's every kind of genre you might think of.
The word Luminato actually means illuminated in Italian, and it raises a kind of a corny follow-up for me, which is, has this festival not shone as brightly as you wished it would in the past?
Well, I'll tell you what I want to have happen. I want everyone around the world, even those who are in the space station, to say, there's a big bright light coming from this Toronto region. We can see it from a distance. What is going on? What the heck is going on in Toronto? Why are those people so optimistic? Why are they so filled with energy and hope at this time when the whole world is facing so many systemic challenges? Why are those people in Toronto? Why do they think that they can tackle this? Where do they get their energy from? And I think Luminato should be part of that, part of building that kind of energy and that kind of hope.
Well, you were essentially brought in to transform this arts festival, and I guess I want to know from what to what?
Well, Luminato has had 14 great years, done some incredible work, some beautiful art, some wonderful artists. But I don't think everyone in Toronto even knows we exist. And our purpose is to inspire the city region and by extrapolation, the world. So next year, we'll produce a festival regardless of the COVID situation. It'll be online, it'll be broadcast, and it will be live. And it will be all free, all outside, all over the city and the city region. And it will include all local artists and arts organizations. And if you can't attend, we'll be virtual. And if you can't attend, then we'll be dancing in the streets.
Okay, I jotted that down because as far as I know, those three alls, all free, all outside, all local, that's all new, right?
Yes. In its entirety, yes, it is.
Because certainly one of the things I'd heard about Luminato in the past might have been from people who said, you know, that looks interesting, but I'm not sure I can afford to go because it costs too much. So that's not going to be an issue next year.
That's not going to be an issue. And in addition to that, all kinds of accessibility are at the core of what we're doing. So there really is no reason why everyone can't get involved and be engaged in this and inspired by this.
And when you say all local, do I take it this means you're not going to be flying people in from all over North America as the festival did in the past?
For this next year, I think we should all shop local. We should buy our bread from the store at the top of the street, because if we don't, that bread store will not be here. And I feel the same about the artistic and creative community in this Toronto region. We've got incredible talent here, and we need to support them, engage with them, and put money in their pockets. So artists, arts organizations, other creators in this region, that's who we need to showcase this year. And going forward, we'll keep this as a base, absolutely. At some point, we'll be able to travel again, and of course, we would welcome the best from around the world back to Toronto, yes. But this year, no, we're gonna shop local.
There is something kind of ironically coincidental about what you're trying to do right now, given how Luminato started in the first place. Do you want to remind us about 2007 and what was happening in this province at that time?
So we were recovering from SARS. which had decimated the tourism industry in Toronto and in this region. And Tony Galliano and David Pico and other civic-minded citizens came up with the idea that we needed a performing arts festival that would celebrate the best of Toronto and bring it to the world, and bring the best of the world to Toronto, and that we would engage on a city building initiative through the arts. So that was the origin story for Luminato, and that's how it started. And as you know, as we've gone through the years, we've done that to a greater and lesser degree, and it's more than ironic that here we are 14 years later, and well, this is way more than SARS that we're going to have to dig ourselves out of.
Bigger hole this time, isn't it? Much bigger hole.
Yeah.
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 I have heard you describe, I know it's the 14th year for Luminato, but I've heard you describe it as year -1. What does that mean?
Well, if you do the math, we'll be 20 in 2026, which normally people think of sort of 5-year plans. Well, this is year -1 of the next 5 years, because this year is purely an experimentation year. You can't see it any other way given the current conditions. Everything we know about how we do what we do in the live performing arts is being challenged and constrained. So we're going to do things differently. So we're going to try all kinds of things. And I would challenge anyone to say, oh, that isn't what you do. That's not how we do it. Oh, we don't know how to do that. I mean, of course, we're all thinking that, but actually, you also can try all kinds of new things. I mean, the stuff that's being produced online now, here and around the world, and the quality of expression from our artists and organizations, we just wouldn't have thought we could have done this a year ago. But through constraints, people are coming up with all kinds of new hybrid offerings. So I think you have to see it that way. It's a choice. Optimism is a choice, because the alternative is the easier route.
Sure. And just to be clear, it's going to be in June again, as always?
It will be in June. We'll open on June the 10th, and we'll run through 3 weekends through the majority of June, all over the city, all free, all outside, all local.
And are you prepared yet to sort of give us some hints about what we will see next June?
Well, I will tell you that if we are able to be in the streets, you'll be singing and dancing alongside us with some fabulous artists, some of whom you're very familiar with and some you have never heard of. So that will be exciting for you. And if we're not able to be in the streets and we're all in our homes, we'll have drones and videographers and fabulous filmmakers capture it all and share it with you anyway.
Okay. Can you tell us what Luminato's budget is?
It's a $6.5 million budget.
So that's enough money to do some pretty big stuff. Would you agree?
That's right. That's right. And we are also collaborating with a lot of other organizations and helping them and share it with them to produce a lot of work and employ a lot of artists.
And what's the mix between how much you get from various levels of government and how much you raise from private sources?
In this current year, we get about 3/4 of it from all 3 levels of government. And the remainder, so several $1 million, we're fundraising.
Now,
because we won't have any ticket sales.
Right, right. I don't have to tell you that governments have gone wildly into debt in order to handle the ravages of this global pandemic. Are you sure that the money that you're counting on is going to be there for you?
We're in commitments with government, and we're very focused on delivering what it is that they need. They need us to help build social confidence and bring people back into the streets, and that's what we're going to do. On the philanthropic and sponsorship side, we've been entering into conversations, and people have been extremely generous and responsive to this message. People are interested in participating in the reactivation of the city and bringing people some hope.
And you feel, what, a considerable amount of pressure on your shoulders to contribute to that and make that happen, I suppose?
We will be a convener and a catalyst to that. I like to say I'm not at the front of the parade. I'd like to be in the middle of the parade as we figure this out.
Well, you know what they say in politics is that if you're a leader and you got nobody following you, you're just a guy out for a walk. So you don't want to be that, I presume.
No, that's not very interesting for me.
Okay. Can I just ask a bit about you? Because you're new on the job, and there's going to be lots of people watching us right now who don't know you. Where are you from, and where did you just come from previous to taking on the Luminato responsibilities?
Right. Well, I lived in Toronto since I was 10. but I grew up in Northern Ontario, which those who know me know that that says everything about who I am and my approach. And I ran Canadian Stage for many, many years and worked in the arts sector in Toronto. And then for a long time, was one of the leaders at Artscape, which is a not-for-profit property developer. So I built the city alongside many others. I built affordable housing for artists and their families, and I built community hubs like the Witchwood Barns or Daniel's Spectrum in Regent Park, those kinds of places. And then most recently, I was working for an enlightened private developer, equally building affordable housing and public realm spaces. So I literally have spent the last 15 years building the city. So I would say that's, I guess I get to have that title as a city builder legitimately. But now I'm going to do it in a more ephemeral way.
And where in Northern Ontario are you from?
North Bay.
Oh, that's, you know
Trout
what?
Lake.
I was going to say,
Trout Lake, North Bay.
People who live in what is really Northern Ontario would not consider North Bay Northern Ontario.
I know you were going to say that, but if you've ever lived through a winter in North Bay, I think we get to claim that.
Yeah, I have not, but I've spent lots of time in Sudbury, which is not too far away, and therefore, I feel you, as the kids say. I think that's I think that's the expression. I'm not from Toronto, but I have lived here for 42 years. But you ask me where I'm from, and I say Hamilton, I guess in the same way you say I'm from Northern Ontario.
Says it all.
Yeah. Do you think it's actually more helpful to be from somewhere else and yet transplanted here to do your thing?
Well, I think the stats say that most of us who live in Toronto consider that we came from somewhere else. So we're a community of people who choose to be here. So I think that says a lot about us. I have, again, it's a choice to live in Toronto. I have high hopes for this city. I think that we have a lot of brilliant people here. And I think we can figure some things out.
Let me ask you about one of the criticisms that we have heard in the past about Luminato, which is that it has been seen in some quarters as that kind of artsy-fartsy festival that is very much located both geographically and in its sensibility with being a downtown thing. And if you're not really part of the downtown scene, you don't really feel like you've got a piece of the action. I guess first question is that a fair criticism from the past?
I think it's a broad criticism. You could say that on some of the programming and some of the experiences, that is true. I also know that Luminato has produced all over the city in the past and produced a lot of free local work in partnership with the community. But I think the takeaway is people may not remember that. The idea they have in their head is one of a downtown organization. So whether that was the reality or not. So I think to counter that, to legitimately go into a wide number of neighborhoods and really connect with people there and really offer participation in a way that is really memorable and transformative, I think that's how you overcome it.
Okay, let me follow up on that then. If you live in, like, never mind North York or Scarborough, but if you live in York Region, if you live in Thornhill or you live in Oshawa or you live in Mississauga, are you going to feel rooted to Luminato in a way that you hadn't in the past if you have your way?
Yes. So we're looking at some programming next year that's in one of those locations you just mentioned that I won't confirm. And in the following year, looking at several more of those locations, because part of it is actually bringing the work and actually participating with the artists and the citizens in those areas, actually doing it. So yes, you'll see some next year and more the year after.
And the idea is actually to do events in these locations outside of downtown Toronto, not merely, I shouldn't say merely, but not solely having them hooked up via online.
That's right. That's right. It'll all be live work. The basis will be live work, which we will then film and broadcast. Now, whether there are more than 25 of us in the live experience will be another matter outside of my control right now.
Speaking of which, how many people have you got on staff to make all this happen anyway?
Oh, a small but mighty team. There are about 20 people full-time at Luminato, and then many dozens more contractors, fabulous producers, obviously artists, and partners who participate and show up and help us as we get closer to the festival. So it's quite a large team. Also, I should say, about 700 volunteers who come back every year. Yeah.
And let me ask the Donald Trump question here, which is, what's in it for them, the volunteers? Why do they do it?
I wasn't sure what question you were going to come up with. I think to be associated with something that's fun and exciting and transformative for the city, I think that's really attractive. And we take care of our volunteers, so they have a rewarding time.
I presume you do a lot of sitting around, though, wondering what the status of the pandemic will be next June. Not right now. We know we're into a second wave right now, but by next June, where this thing may be, because presumably that will hugely factor into what you can or cannot do. Am I right?
Yes. So we have sort of three doors in the game show, if you will. And door B is if I was to produce the festival this weekend. So these conditions that we are under, sort of a version of lockdown, a little bit outside, a little bit not, we'll have a virtual version of what we're doing based on live experiences. And a few people will be able to actually be there in the streets with us. And if it gets worse, then it's entirely virtual and it's very limited in terms of live experience. And if it gets better, that's the easy part. We're very accustomed to doing tens of thousands of people attending large scale events. So it'd be terrific if we could actually move towards that. But we're kind of planning for all three scenarios.
You're planning for three different scenarios right now.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds complicated. Is it?
Well, it's not really. I mean, the main scenario is if I was doing it this weekend, it's virtual and it's live with limited audience. Got it. So it's going to be live regardless. So in the worst case, it's just live. I mean, sorry, it's just a broadcast. And in the best of situations, we welcome more people. But the main experience is a COVID-friendly, socially distanced, safe festival.
Are there other festivals anywhere else in North America, or for that matter around the world, that you point to and say, that's a model for us? We need to be more like that. We're taking our cues from them because they do it so well. I'd love to, whatever they've got, I want to bottle that and I want to bring it here. And if so, what is it?
Well, I'll say we're all just figuring it out. I mean, I don't know how familiar you are with the festival circuit, but everyone has a certain time of year, right? So the ones that are in January got away with their festivals and now they're madly planning. And so we'll be watching how January goes for them, regardless of, whether they're in Australia or Asia or wherever, and how much they're able to hybrid it virtually and how much they're able to do live. So we're definitely looking at that, and we're in constant contact with those organizations anyway, because we would be in the big circuit. There are a few places in Dublin. There was a theatre festival that was out in the last couple of weeks, and it's worth just looking them up because very clever switch on their programming to like one-person shows, one audience member, one artist, a show, or complete shows completely on the telephone, that kind of thing. It's worth looking at. It's like, wow, they must have a lot of funding in Ireland, but regardless, it's very creative and inventive. So there are a million great examples around the world about how people are doing this, and a lot here, some fantastic work from local organizations who really have figured out a different way of presenting what they're doing right now. So we look at all of that and talk to all of them.
But I assume that in normal times, you'd be hopping on airplanes all the time, going to all these festivals to pick up helpful tips and make valuable contacts and so on. Do I gather you can't do any of that now?
It's my friend Zoom. It's all on the phone and Zoom.
I'll Zoom all the time.
I'll Zoom every day, all the time.
How are you finding that?
Well, I'm leading a team of people that, except for a picnic in the park, a little visit in the park, I haven't met. I've been leading them since the spring, and I don't actually get to meet them in person. We do it like this, and it's remarkable how you can make do. It's actually okay.
Okay, that is, what's the technical word I'm looking for here? That is crazy. You've got all these employees, and you haven't even met them yet.
Right.
Right.
So we met once in a park, so we laid eyes on each other, so we know we exist, but that's it. And what's interesting is you have to work harder at understanding the cues because it's filtered, right? But we have to get along with it anyway. And I don't think we're going back to in-person for some time, so we have to make this work.
How long is your term with Luminato?
6 years. Because the chair, Peter Herndorf, and I discussed the 2026 20th anniversary of Luminato as the mountaintop, and we both like to get to the mountaintop. So we have a vision to get there together, and then we'll see what happens after that.
We should say, in the interest of full disclosure, Mr. Herndorf is a former chair and CEO of this organization and had the very poor judgment 28 years ago of hiring me and bringing me in here. So we just...
Well, there you go. And I'm like the second to that, so there you go.
We put that on the record for people's edification. I guess, you know, Premier Ford's got this slogan that he likes to say, which is, I can't make decisions if I can't measure stuff. You know, so it's very important for him to have testing results so that he can measure how well we're doing and therefore plan accordingly. And I guess I'd want to make the same kind of, put the same kind of question to you. How will you know if the new Luminato Festival coming next June is successful?
Well, there's some, specific quantitative things we can do. We can track the number of people who participate, either live or virtually. We can, track where they're coming from, how long they participate, what they're interested in. And you can do some extrapolation from that to see were there any other impacts in the community as a result of their participation with us. It's going to be challenging because so much of it may be virtually, but nonetheless. So we'll quantify that. And we generally survey everybody after their experiences. So we also have some idea of, what were the other softer impacts of the experience on them, in addition to, say, economic or social impacts. So we do all of that every year anyway, and we set up our own benchmarks and then see if we can exceed those. I think in addition, because we're in this time, there's some very specific expectations about social confidence that we should be putting on ourselves. And I've reviewed this with the team quite extensively. I mean, one of the purposes of what we're trying to do is to bring us all back out into the street and help us get over. We are all filled with anxiety about being out, anxiety about, are you going to come too close to me? Are you sick and you don't know it? There's just a lot that we're all living with. And so how can what we do actually inspire people to come back out safely and build the confidence to interact again? Because if we do that, then we might go back to having a resilient community and small businesses' success and everything else that we love about the city. So it's how we measure that will be a challenge to figure that out. There's a lot of factors that will be working against us.
Indeed. However you do it, we wish you well. You've got a big challenge ahead. That's Celia Smith, who's the new CEO of the Luminato Festival Toronto. And we're really grateful you spared some time for us on TVO tonight. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Steve.
The Agenda with Steve Paikin is brought to you by the Chartered Professional Accountants of Ontario. CPA Ontario is a regulator, an educator, a thought leader, and an advocate. We protect the public. We advance our profession. We guide our CPAs. We are CPA Ontario. And by viewers like you. Thank you.